Meditation and prayer and meditation, I believe this suggestion that I'm about to suggest to you, which sounds kind of redundant to some, but it's necessary that I repeat this as often as I possibly can, that God said he's going to judge the nation. I believe the nation is up under judgment, but he said we're going to come up with abundance. And so now I'm going to suggest to you one way of receiving that abundance. Because of the lengthy history this nation has in oppression, suppression, right now we're talking about civil rights, and some states are trying to stop people from exercising their right to vote, their right to protest. This one right after another is being challenged and being suppressed, and it's a continuation of affliction. The weapons of our warfare, they're not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. This is a nation, these United States, this is a nation that is established by law. It's a nation that is ruled and governed by law. We have our separation of church and state, supposed to be, and each have their set of laws that they're supposed to abide by. Now, before I discuss the church role in this whole situation, let me talk to the people that have been afflicted for 400 years, 400 and going on 1 year so far. It is necessary that we exercise our right as citizens to seek redress through legal means. For example, prisons that have been underfunded, defunded, but well populated, especially with our young boys and girls, and who have grown old in prison, but have been denied education, ability to make themselves to be rehabilitated, reformed, or whatever. Those individual rights have been violated. Cruel and unusual punishment. The system having shown its justification for some of its sentences. And so here, collectively, that is something we need to sue about. For all the time that the nation, that the prisons have not contributed to the well-being and welfare of our loved ones, we collectively need to sue those inmates who have been abused through a prison system that has shown no compassion, no care in their humanity. We need to sue, legal, sue, take them to court, sue. Here's where you're going to get the money that they owe you. All right? Because of the injustice that they continue to perpetuate. Here we have another situation, the health situation. COVID-19 has shown the great disparity between the healthcare system of the African American and their counterparts. But here's a good time to sue. Go back some years, go back and start suing. Yes, the Tuskegee experiment and all those other things that they have done, and we have well documentation that they have done it. Let's sue. Education. In one court hearing, it said separate but equal, but the equality never came, and it continued, and still today, we find that there's lack of equality, there's lack of proper disbursement, equal disbursement of funds. Everybody's not getting the same amount of money to develop their schools and to educate their children. Let's sue. Let's go back to what this nation is based on. It's a nation based on laws. Let's take them to court. Now, and I can go on, housing and everything else where you have been denied, where today, the average Anglo-American is 6 times wealthier than the average African-American. And we're talking about just the average. We're not talking about the extreme differences in between. And so what happened to bringing us into equal par? We need to come up financially, economic development equally. Yes, you can create jobs and everything else, but we need some back pay. We need back pay. We need to just money answer it all things, as Solomon said. We could have a healthy discussion. We could see how we can let us resolve this thing where there's a real benefit. I'll show you an alternative. What about if you were supposed to just say, well, let's resolve it in violence? Who's going to win and who's going to lose? What's the benefit? But if you pay us, then you will avoid a violent confrontation, because violence without purpose, that's senseless. That's chaos. That's what we seem to have been experiencing. And we don't want to take on your ways and your bad habits. Those are bad habits. Just killing for no reason. Just killing. That's not what God had called us. That's not what his promise to Abraham was about. He said, I'm going to bring them up with great substance, but I'm going to keep them alive. Yeah? I'm going to show them my ways. They're going to learn my ways. So that's one way that we could resolve this issue, because once we have our money, we can do whatever it is that as the Lord put it in our heart to do, but collectively. So here comes the role of the church. So, well, now how are we going to go about now dealing with gathering our people to serve the Lord? Because one of the consequences of not serving God is the destruction and affliction that has continued upon us, especially this generation that now is called upon to inherit the promises.